I'm soaring, friends. I am Vitaly Portnikov. Donald Trump will continue to disappear and will complete the Russian-Ukrainian blame for the sprat months with the tease that his Russian counterpart Putin is trading from the received state. At the splitting, and journalists and Trump under the chairs for him, unclear the rest of the craply. His Putin does not adore the completion of guilt from Ukraine. And also in the fallout of the final guilt, the most economical claim, having served as the reason for the fact that some Ukraine was in conflicts, were ready before their completion. The reason and the sim of the American President Pete is still in the chair, for the tariff squeeze on the Russian Federation is not so rich. The fact that the whole of Ukraine does not conduct an active economical cooperation with the received states. And Trump, continuing in the fact that Russian President Putin was numb in such spivritstvo and overgrown with just demanding dates for Russia and Ukraine, you can still fight about two sides without the gluttousness of the fact that those words of the American president mirrors realistic exhibitions because of his splitting with Putin, and because of the fact that during the Russian Trump is simply not guilty of Ukrainian guilt. The undated fact that a politician and a realtor are in the Oval Office at the party. And before they were notified that they could rush to Tilky with the interests of pennies and economical, with the ideological and dogma and adoration of expanding the power territory. Axia in Tim, and retire with Russian President Putin, whose head People's Republic of China, 11 Jinping. Trump's competitors think about the cattle on the stile about economic benefits, discounts, about expanding the influx of their powers in Europe and the Asian-Pacific region. In that part, the president's yak from the received states is turned off on pennies and the stick is still in the sweet, on the injection of it, so it's turned off on pennies. And we know even the most such position. As a rule, brought the Okolniki to the greatest number of the powers of the retinue to belittled and priggled by Trump. Is not in the mind the American president will continue to defend his position and readiness to board on those partners in Yaki, and the position is not for our happiness today Russia, not Ukraine. That Putin does not approach and Trump, in that maybe with the Russian president about the prip in the fire on the Russian-Ukrainian front. We are also overestimating Trump from the moment of his dismissal to the Oval Office and until allegedly, of course, not implemented. Reason and steam Trump, calling Putin Xi Jinping a tough leader with Yakim is not possible. Back at the Maya was the American president overgrown to explain that I will continue to test sites on the basis of nuclear testing with the states and nuclear Ukraine received. Obviously such as Russia, the People's Republic of China, Korea, Pivnichno. The yak may look like nuclear testing, and the ranks can be seen on such nuclear tests in the minds of Kola. Moscow and Beijing do not conduct such tests. And with Putin Xi Jinping, Trump does not explain, although officials of his administration have already overgrown dates are imposed. It is more logical to explain not that it is really possible to see nuclear tests in the legacy of Trump's order. Secretly, Trump himself has been in the chair since receiving the states will be Tilky at the time of his Putin's testing of missiles. May be potential pits of nuclear dumping and may be characterized by Washington. I am often on the complex of nuclear testing conducted by the Russian Federation. You are so optimistic about Trump and about your mutual and Beijing's chair. The power is not being elected today because of the temples about Taiwan. There is a parallel China street leading. From Trump's point of view, Xi Jinping was notified, even by Trump being started from the United States of America. Not because it is clear that it is not up to Taiwan in Beijing. We, of course, turned off the American president, and is primed on greedy concrete facts. So important from the point of view a way destabilize the situation, sweeties in honor of Trump counselor. It is possible that Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro as Ostani days. Although the mind of the son of Trump, without saying, is preparing to receive the state before the intervention in Venezuela, and the pit of the chair cannot get in before the calls. And so another important crock before destabilization can be the counselor of the threat of the American president for strength in Nigeria. A tense internal conflict, and Trump characterizes the beard of the Muslim population, firm Christians, and African Ukraine. The search for the American president in the temple in the thrusting from the received states of the yak in Latin America and Africa, and from the received states of Trump to the target of new local conflicts. Yaks at times of a delicate situation from the situation of the side of the American president members in his administration can become one of the moves and before the global escalation and in the future up to the third light guilt. You are handing over Trump, absolutely not Raya, and the alignment to conflicts, but to complete the guilt. Although according to the stay of the American president in the Oval Office, he really managed to complete the tilky. Guilt at a close outcome, conflict, not looking stabilized for a long hour. Daikuyu. Inflate on the topic of the channel, subscribe to it, subscribe to my social on the channel, in Patreon Coffee and Donatello. It helps to develop these resources. The function of the sponsorship itself.